Hey there! In today's video, I'm showing how I took a bunch of old picture frames that were being thrown out and basically made them have a uniformed look to put on my wall so I can finally put some posters and artwork that I've been meaning to frame and hang up. For the longest time. This project was pretty simple. It basically was just a matter of getting these picture frames, emptying them out, spraying them down, and putting everything up. But of course, it was a little more tedious than that sounds. Here are my picture frames. There is a bunch of them, all different kinds of sizes, different types. It's very interesting after this project realizing how many different kinds of backings are on picture frames. These are some of the posters I had. I've had so many posters from so many cons over the years, artwork from so many amazing artists, some of them even cosplayer artists that I just love and adore. And I've been meaning to put them up, and I want to put them up the right way so they're shown off properly. So right now here, I'm trying to feel out what the sizes are looking like as to where these are gonna go and what frames will fit which, because obviously I'm just going with the frames that I got and I don't know what's actually gonna fit where. After some time of actually playing with the picture frames and checking out the sizes, seeing what I have to work with here, now I need to take these picture frames apart and actually prep them for painting. So each picture frame in this special collection I got here had different backings, different things locking them in place that I had to dismantle, unhook, or unscrew. So that took some time, and I had to make sure I did it safely because some of these were pretty old, and I also had to be just careful with the glass. I also wanted to make sure these paper backings, they had so much various types going in all these picture frames. I wanted to make sure that they were going to stay together if I'm going to use them. I didn't end up using all of them over the ones they came with because I just didn't like some of the colors with them. Or I ended up changing the size, making my own because I wanted to complement whatever picture frame it was going in. I got really creative here with the tools I used to open these things. I was not going to use my nails or my fingers because, I've got to protect the nails. I'm also just using one hand here as I use my other one to hold the camera as I do this. This specific picture frame was a backing I've never worked with before, but it was definitely very secure. I'm glad I had a tool to take out these screws and loosen it up. With everything that I took out, I did mark which nails went to which picture frame and so forth. Some of them you might see later on, I put a letter on the picture frame somewhere in a regular marker or a Sharpie that I had laying around that I could rub off later. On the back side of the picture frame where I wasn't painting, to make sure that I lined it up with the paper I took out or the nails or screws that needed to go back in with that. Because mind you, there was a lot of picture frames and it was going to be a whole nother mess trying to figure out which went with what. Got this good old bathroom picture here. Some of them got really annoying to take out, so some of them I just had to like, we're ripping it. Forget it, it's coming out. And it's not coming out nicely, so. The amount of different tools I use for this, I cannot explain why I went from a table knife to a color pencil, from a screwdriver. I just did whatever could work and was gonna be convenient for each picture frame. And I was just doing this too while handling other things. So after all that, I had a bunch of picture frames, just the frames itself. So many different colors going on here, different materials, wood, metals, fun stuff. And it was now time to take them outside. I cleaned them off in terms of any excess dust that could have possibly been on them, things of that nature. Then headed outside and put down a tarp to spray paint them on that so they didn't get on the grass. But of course, Diana thought the blanket was for her to lay down and enjoy some nice sun. I ended up giving her her own blanket off to the side because I didn't want her near the fumes of the spray paint. Alright, so now here I laid out all the picture frames on the mat. They're pretty apart for the most part. Didn't want them too close together, but they don't really need to be far apart. But I just need to make sure I have proper access to each one as I paint them. And then one by one, I gave them a first coat of the black spray paint color, making sure that I shook the can up beforehand. Very important to shake it up properly beforehand. And then in a nice sweeping motion, going through the sides, the inner parts, the top parts of each picture frame as smooth as I can. Because of course the picture frame kind of sinks into the blanket itself, I had to really make sure I got those corners with that first coating. Didn't want to miss any spots. And I'm wearing the mask just in case somehow the spray did get in my face. Definitely not supposed to breathe this stuff in. Always safety first. After doing this project, there were some things I realized in terms of how I could have better secured and did the painting. Because with just the coat of paint alone and the sealer, some of the paint frames did end up chipping based on the material, and I had to really secure it. So in the future when I do this, I am going to saw some of them down, taking off any extra coating on the picture frames that could prevent it from really taking in the paint and not having it chip so easily. So at this point, I've used one can of spray paint, and I'm going to get another can just to finish those frames I didn't get to finish and start with the second coat over all the frames. In total, I used about 2¼ cans, 2½. I bought about 4 just in case, and I knew that black was a color I was going to use in the future, so I always find it best to buy more of the paint than you need because it's better to have more than less. And make sure you do the coatings properly, especially with these picture frames. During the second coat, I realized I missed a lot of the inner parts, and the blanket was hiding some of it, so I had to move around the blanket a little, adjust them to make sure I was really getting in the insides and every corner that I could of these frames. Alright, and after I finished that next layer, it was time to give them a break, let those layers soak in, and put on the clear coat to finish it off. I went with a satin clear coat look. Wanted it to be kind of shiny, not too shiny, but it was the look I preferred. It looked like the blanket I used had a fun look to it afterwards, just showing the outlines of the frames. As you can see, this was a whole day kind of project. So after I gave some time to let the frames really dry and settle down, I want to say I gave it at least maybe 2 hours after that final coat. Got them back inside, set them out on the floor, and started trying to figure out which backings went with what and which pictures I was going to put where. Obviously, with the circular ones, I did have to make the adjustments to the pictures. Just to get it to fit in there. And then go through the game again of which posters am I putting where, because actually from the first day I started that project, I did end up going to another con and getting more posters and artwork because I just can't not support the lovely artists in the community. And I got some more. There was a old canvas I had laying around of some artwork that was started a long time ago that I was not going to finish. So for that one, I ended up Mod Podging the piece, the canvas piece, to then put this artwork on top of it. And then I just painted the sides black to give it that black look the rest of the other frames and artworks have. And everything started coming together. So then the real fun part, the hardest, was actually putting them on the wall. I rearranged this wall 8,000 times and I really didn't want to. I was very careful because in terms of especially putting the thumbtacks, I didn't do nails. I used thumbtacks to actually put these up because I'm so conscious of being careful with the walls and not wanting to overdo it or destroy them. So I put the thumbtacks in designated spots and then had to just keep changing out where I had one picture. Do I want this picture here? This looks better than this. Maybe I should just have a DC Universe corner here to the right. We'll do that. We'll have my favorite animes like in the middle. So it took a lot. that was the hardest part, but I am so happy with how it came out. And I always love when everyone comes into my house and they're just like, look at your wall. Thanks for watching.